If you've ever wondered why a man goes quiet right when things seem perfect, this is the story you've been waiting for. Because sometimes the silence isn't about you. It's about a war happening inside him.
Today's episode is going to be a little different. We're going to walk through one man's story, let's call him Daniel, and in between we'll talk about why this happens, what it means, and how both men and women can navigate it without destroying something beautiful.
Daniel met Sarah at a friend's birthday dinner. She wasn't the loudest in the room. She didn't need to be. There was this quiet confidence about her, the kind of presence that makes you lean in without realizing it. They started talking that night, and within minutes, he felt something he hadn't in years. Safe.
The first few months were magic. You know that phase where texts are answered instantly, calls go late into the night, and you both feel like you finally found someone who gets you. Weekend brunches turned into spontaneous road trips. Movie nights turned into deep talks about dreams and fears. She would laugh at his jokes, even the bad ones, and he found himself smiling more than he had in years.
Here's the thing. When men are in this stage, we're open. We're vulnerable without even realizing it. We talk about childhood memories. We share the music we love. We let someone into the little corners of our lives we usually keep locked up. And Daniel was no different. But something was coming.
This is a question to you, my audience. When you've been in a relationship that's going well, have you ever felt that little voice in your head that says, "Don't get too comfortable"? Why do you think that happens?
Back to Daniel's story. It started small. Sarah began asking where they saw themselves in a year. Then, what about 2 years? Then, marriage, kids. Now, these were fair questions. She wasn't pushing in a manipulative way. She was just excited. She saw something real. But for Daniel, each question didn't feel like excitement. It felt like weight. See, in his mind, love was supposed to be light, fun, and free. And suddenly, it was starting to feel serious.
And when it feels serious, men start running mental checklists. Am I ready for this? What if I fail? What if she sees the real me and decides I'm not enough?
I want to pause here because this is where so many women misinterpret the shift. When men pull away, it's rarely because they've stopped loving you. It's often because they're afraid of messing up something that matters, afraid of being exposed, afraid of letting you down.
I want to hear from my fellow men out here who are listening to our podcast right now. Have you ever seen someone self-sabotage because the relationship started feeling too real? What do you think was going through their mind?
We would love to hear your versions on the comment. Back to Daniel's story. Daniel started pulling away. He started taking longer to reply to texts. Weekend plans turned into, "I'm busy with work." The calls that used to last 2 hours, down to 5 minutes. Sarah noticed. Of course she did. At first, she tried to laugh it off, like, "Wow, you're acting like you don't miss me anymore." But inside, she was panicking. Here's the dangerous cycle. The more she pushed for closeness, the more he felt suffocated. The more he withdrew, the more she panicked. And the more she panicked, the more he wanted to run.
Daniel wasn't pulling away because he didn't care. He was pulling away because caring made him feel vulnerable, and vulnerability felt unsafe. And I relate badly to this scenario, which happened to me some time back when I was dating my now wife, whom by that time was my girlfriend.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I would love to hear from my listeners, when you've been in a relationship that's going well, have you ever felt that little voice in your head that says, "Don't get too comfortable"? Why do you think that happens? Leave your comments below. Let's continue.
The inner battles that we men do go through, that majority of ladies sometimes don't get to understand. Men don't always have the language to explain this. We grow up hearing, "Be a man. Don't be too emotional. Handle it yourself." So when fear creeps in, our instinct isn't to talk about it. It's to retreat.
Because that's how majority of us have been brought up. So Daniel would sit in his apartment, phone in hand, staring at Sarah's messages, wanting to reply, but not knowing how without feeling exposed.
In his head, it was better to be distant now than to let her see the parts of him he didn't think she'd accept later. This is what I call the silent cry for space. It's not rejection. It's not anger. It's self-protection. But here's the tragedy. If unspoken, it feels like rejection to the other person. And that misunderstanding is where relationships start to crumble.
Question to you, my amazing listeners. Do you think men are aware of the emotional impact their withdrawal has on their partners, or do you think they believe they're doing the right thing by stepping back?
We would be glad to hear from you what your perspective is on this, man.
All right, back to Daniel's story. One day, Sarah finally asked, "What happened? Did I do something wrong?" And for the first time in weeks, Daniel told the truth. He said, "I'm scared. Scared I can't be the man you think I am. Scared you'll see the real me and change your mind." Sarah didn't leave. She didn't shame him. She listened. And slowly, the distance began to close.
Here's what I want everyone listening to take away from this. Pulling away isn't always about losing love. Sometimes it's a sign the person cares deeply and needs reassurance that it's safe to stay close.
I agree 100%.
If you're a man listening to this, I want you to hear me. Space is okay. Taking a breath is okay. But don't let silence speak for you, because silence leaves the other person to fill in the blanks, and what they imagine is often worse than the truth.
And if you're a woman listening to this, sometimes when a man retreats, he's not building a wall to keep you out. He's building a shelter to protect himself. Your choice is whether to knock gently or walk away.
This was Let's Talk Real Men. If today's story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever pulled away or been with someone who did? What did it mean for you?
Subscribe and let's meet in the next episode.